Ripped from her family far too soon. Now investigators say that murdered Michigan girl, Nevaeh Buchanan, may have been buried alive. The 5-year-old's body was found in a shallow grave, crudely covered over with cement. A newly released coroner's report says she died by inhaling dirt. That means she was either buried alive or her twisted killer held the 5-year-old's head down in the dirt, causing her to suffocate. This is sick and it's disgusting. Family members reacted last night to this gruesome news.
There's thousand things going through my mind, wondering what she went through.
That's just absolutely the most heinous crime that I've ever heard of. Buried alive.
Just unbelievable news for this family to have to process. Investigators tracking down a new lead. They are trying to match fibers found under Nevaeh's fingernails and have reportedly taken carpet samples from her apartment as well as that of a neighbor where Nevaeh was playing the very day she went missing. Will this bring cops one step closer to finding her killer? Meanwhile, Nevaeh's mom, Nevaeh Buchanan, reportedly holed up in her apartment after hearing the devastating news. She had come under criticism, you may recall, for befriending a convicted sex offender, a person of interest in this case. After initially defending him, here's what she said last month.
I'm pretty sure that probably someone associated with George or his girlfriend or a few other, I don't know.
Why would they want to hurt Nevaeh or take Nevaeh?
I don't know. That's a question only that who did it can answer.
In the wake of little Nevaeh's death, the sex offender friend George Kennedy was sent back to prison on a probation violation along with his friend Roy Smith, who is also a convicted sex offender. But what, if anything, does all of this have to do with little Nevaeh's murder? So many issues. Straight out to my fantastic expert panel, Mike Gaynor, president of East Coast Detectives, Jennifer Hertzstein, clinical psychologist, and joining me by phone, Dave Murray, special assignments editor for the Toledo Blade. Dave, you've been tracking this case. What is the very latest?
We've been tracking this case mainly through family members. Police are not talking. They've had this the results of the autopsy for we don't know how long. They kept telling us it wasn't ready, but then we found out they were telling family members the gruesome details. One detail you did not mention that we're hearing from family members is that little Nevaeh was buried naked.
Oh, no.
Buried alive naked. Her naked body was found with her clothes underneath her.
Oh.
So it's hard to even imagine what this little girl went through. They're also taking carpet samples from the apartment complex where she lived. Now remember that she was last seen skateboarding or on a scooter in that area, but she was also last seen alive by a neighbor who lived upstairs. They've taken carpet samples from his carpet, and authorities have told him, and he's told the press, they found carpet fibers under little Nevaeh's fingernails. So that's where they're at. But they're being very mum in what they're finding.
It's a disturbing question to even ask, but do we know whether or not this child was sexually assaulted or molested?
We've asked the same question. The family's asked the same question. The family says they're waiting to hear that. The police are not saying. I'm sure that if she is, or they're just not giving out that information.
Jennifer Hertzstein, I don't even know where to begin as a psychologist. How do you offer comfort to a family who is getting these really gut-wrenching details? It's already tough enough to process that your child died, but then to hear that she may have been buried alive, it's incomprehensible to me.
It is, and I think it's such a difficult question. You have to kind of go with it one day at a time, and I think right now everybody's just in disbelief. We're in disbelief, and we're not related to her. Your gut reaction is absolute shock and disgust, as is mine. And I think when you're working with families like this, it's just offering support, offering consolation. There is no way to give an answer right now. So it's, as a psychologist working with families who are grieving right now, the shock is so palpable that there's not even a way to offer how you get through it, because there's no answer yet. There's still more answers and more answers and more answers coming. And as it's just kind of being with the people in the moment and really being there to help offer support so that you keep them safe, because it could send this mother into a state of absolute despair, and we don't want her to also become even, more impaired, more depressed, possibly suicidal. So it's keeping everybody safe as they keep getting this horribly disturbing information.
It would almost seem that any words would come off as trite.
Yes,
because
absolutely.
it almost defies verbalization, this this horror.
Yeah.
You know, reports say investigators found carpet fibers, as we've been discussing, under little Nevaeh's fingers. They've taken carpet samples from Nevaeh's home and an apartment directly upstairs, or at least upstairs, where Nevaeh had been playing earlier with her friend. That friend's dad, as we just heard, told the Detroit Free Press that the carpet in the apartment where his son and Nevaeh were playing is the same carpet from Nevaeh's apartment. So, Mike Gator, if there is a match for the fibers under her nails, could it turn out to be irrelevant if all the apartments in that complex have the same carpet?
It could be, but they're going to check carpet fiber from that van, too, that belonged to Kennedy's buddy, and they're going to check fiber from the hotel room that he was living in and other places. And relative to the young child being found naked, as a matter of fact, chances are very good that the worst thing did happen. But that may also bring in some evidence that'll help clear this case up.
Why wouldn't they announce the final thing of whether or not she was assaulted?
It's just such a sad, terrible thing. A little girl, the family involved, and there's really no need for the whole public to discuss it.
In other words, would they have told the family privately one way or another?
I would imagine that they would have, at least some parts of the family, depending on who they're dealing with. The mother may not be in a position to deal well with the police at this time.
Yeah, absolutely. Dave Murray, what about the other evidence found at the crime scene? She was covered in concrete. There was a cigarette butt, a beer can, and a surgical glove.
Yes, and we know all that. We've reported all that, and the police, and maybe your detective experts could tell you more, but I think that's pretty standard procedure for cops not to tell the public what they have. They're trying to catch this bad guy, and even though
We've got more in just a moment. Hang in there. Oh, what a terrible case.